Hi, I'm Hayley Down, a registered nutritionist specializing in women's health and fertility. And in today's video, I really wanted to talk you through the main differences of testing your hormones via a blood test versus doing a deeper dive with something like the Dutch test to gain a more comprehensive overview as to what's going on with your hormone patterns and metabolism. Now, if you're just feeling like something is off with your hormones, but you're not really getting anywhere with your GP, maybe you've even had some hormones tested and they've come back normal, this video is for you. Okay, let's start with blood tests. And don't get me wrong, they can absolutely be helpful and a really good starting point if you're at the beginning of your journey and want to investigate things further, especially if you're having symptoms you're worried about. However, they have their limitations. So, blood tests usually only give us information about what your markers are doing at a single moment in time, and they often have large reference ranges. For example, to be considered normal when it comes to vitamin D levels, you have to be over 50 nanomoles per liter. Whereas I like my clients, especially those who are struggling with things like their energy, their mood, maybe they're having some fertility challenges, I want them to be between 125 and 150 nanomoles per liter. So there's quite a big difference there. Next is limited markers, because generally blood tests are only looking at one type of a hormone. For example, with estrogen, blood tests look at estradiol, whereas something like the Dutch test actually looks at 10 different types of estrogen, including how your body is breaking these hormones down and getting them out the system. And actually, a lot of problems I see with my clients, for example, those with heavy, clotty periods, painful periods, things like fibroids, endometriosis, those symptoms of those conditions can be exacerbated if you're not clearing your estrogen effectively. So it's always worth doing a full deep dive and getting more of an accurate picture. Also, most hormones, when tested via a blood test, are done on day 3 of your cycle. So, day 1 being the first day of your period. And whilst this can be really beneficial in terms of providing insight into things like your fertility, it's not telling us what's going on in your luteal phase, so the week or so before your period. And actually, for a lot of my clients, this is the most problematic time in terms of their symptoms. So, this is why we look at the Dutch test, because it looks at testing your hormones at that point of the cycle. So there can be a little bit of confusion around the name, but the Dutch test stands for Dried Urine Test for Comprehensive Hormones, and it's exactly what it says on the tin. So it's a real deep dive into your hormonal health during the luteal phase, which can be really insightful, especially if you're struggling with problematic symptoms in that week before your period, such as fatigue, insomnia, mood swings, bloating. Maybe you just feel like a completely different person every single month. Maybe you're having heavy, painful periods as well. And actually, that can often be due to you not processing and detoxifying estrogen effectively. So, again, we're looking at all the different types of estrogen, not just the one that's tested in a blood test. It can also give you some really cool insight into how your body is managing stress, which can definitely be a really interesting one to go over. We're also looking at a few key neurotransmitters such as dopamine, also some B vitamin levels, which are really important for things like energy. I have a whole nother video on exactly what the Dutch test covers in more detail. I actually walk you through my own personal results as well. And more importantly, what I did following that set of results nutritionally and lifestyle supplements. So I will link that video below. Definitely not an influencer, but it will give you more of an insight into what we then actually do with some of this information. So, in terms of what's involved, I just wanted to quickly cover. It's a really non-invasive test. All you do is pee on a few strips of filter paper, just like that when you're on the toilet. As I said, a week before your period, and what we test is during the course of the day. So, a dinner time sample, a bedtime sample, an overnight sample if you wake up, and that can be a really good one to have a look at in terms of things like insomnia. And then we're testing kind of first thing in the morning and then 2 hours after waking. So you're getting a really nice pattern of things like cortisol and what that's actually doing over the course of that time as well. So it goes without saying, I do offer a free discovery call to chat through any symptoms you're worried about and to actually explore whether the Dutch test is worth doing. It's quite an investment. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So I always want clients to feel super happy and informed with their choice. So I offer a free chat to kind of explore whether it's a good option for you. I will link the link to be able to do that down below. And yeah, I hope That's been really helpful. I've been wanting to put a video like this together for a while. So yeah, hopefully it's been helpful, and reach out if you have any questions at all.